Hello and welcome to my studio in Kenansville, Florida. And today I'm going to be tracking guitar for the metal song. So I've never made a video of me actually recording in progress. I've done a couple of videos on different stages of mixing of songs, or sort of more really just showed off what the elements of mixing were than actually sitting and watching me do it, because quite frankly, most of it is pretty boring to watch. I know in the studio, when it comes down to recording and whatever, that's when the incredible amount of time it takes to even just like set up mics for a drum set or something. It's when like all the girlfriends go home. They think it's cool, and then when they go there, it's like, what did I get myself into? It's so slow and so boring. I mean, it's fun for the people recording, but okay. So anyway, I'm using my Kevin guitar for this, and the reason why is because I broke my USA guitar last night by accident. I broke a string, which is not how the guitar broke. I realized that you don't throw away guitar string breaks. What I did was lose my Allen wrench for the tremolo system, so I could put the new string on. So what I attempted to do was use a real wrench, a regular wrench, and what happened there was I cracked I don't know what you call the little black piece in the saddle of the tremolo system, so that you cannot insert a string on that position anymore. So I had to order a new replacement package for those. They get 6 of them for $12 I found on Amazon, so that's fine. But it'll take 8 days to get here, and I don't really have 8 days. I want to get this done. So, I mean, I have 8 days, but better I do have a spare guitar, although it doesn't sound quite as nice. So the first thing we're going to talk about actually is the sound, because it's not going to sound nice at all in the studio, because I'm not playing this live like I would at a show on stage or something like that. So when I play live, obviously I use my foot pedal, and I've got all kinds of delay and effects on there to make it sound cool for the audience. And that being said, it's usually me and one other guitar player maybe. So there's not a lot of I would call destruction or construction maybe of the sounds. So if I have delay and like 5 other guitar players have delay, and it's not just doesn't sound like junk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add things like delay later in the mix. I'm not going to go totally, just clang into there and record a metal song, because I wouldn't be able to get into it. And I've done that a couple times, and it just, there's no feedback into the strings. It's, you feel funny when you're playing it. So I'm going to have distortion, but I'm not going to go nuts. I'm going to have a really basic distortion, and all the other effects I'm going to add in the mix. So here's what the riff sounds like, or a couple of the riffs sound like in the studio, as opposed to how they're going to sound in the end when I have like 5 or 6 layered guitar parts and before I add the effects. So. Screwed that part up there, but into the chorus. And that's the feel for the first 6 or 7 minutes of the song, because this is like a 12-minute song, and it does have some, it goes into like triplet feel at one point. It's like things like that, almost like a Metallic-y Jump in the Fire type of a section it has, and it has a bunch of other stuff too. We'll layer that all on. Let's start by switching over to the audio. I'm going to put my headphones on, and we're going to switch over to the audio from the console, and also I'm going to share the console with you. So I'll just be in a little box at the bottom when we're doing this, and you will hear what the mixer hears, and you will see me in the bottom, and you will see the mixer on the screen. Okay, so now I think we have enough recorded. I made a couple mistakes in some of those takes, and that's all right because it's a very repetitive song, so I can cut and paste a bit. As long as I played, every part perfectly at least, 2 or 3 times, then we'll have enough variety, and um, we could just copy over some of the other ones that might not sound as nice. And that's what we're going to do next. And I'm actually tired of wearing these headphones, so I am going to take it to the other room and go out to the dining room and work on some of the scrubbing of the tracks. Now, I didn't do solos. I almost consider that a separate instrument, and I might even wait the 8 days and not use this guitar because I really like the other guitar, the way it plays a little better. Or I may just totally restring this guitar because I could feel like my fingers are hurting because it's like rusty strings. I haven't played this one in a while. And that may be also why it's not sounding quite as nice as the other guitar, because it's from heavy metal to rusty metal here. So let's go to the other room and let's do some of the mixing. Okay, so I'm out in the dining room now, and I'm going to show you first what it sounded like in my headphones. The only thing additional in my headphones was a click track, a metronome. So when I first started without there being any guitar in the track, and I'll mute the electric guitar bus, this is what it would have sounded like. Now the electric guitar bus, by the way, is just where I fed tracks 9 and track 10, which are the 2 electric guitars. One's panned all the way to the left, one's panned all the way to the right. And they both go to the electric guitars. That way I can control the volume in the mix a little easier and apply whatever I apply equally to both. Um, So basically just some, keyboards and the drums and the bass track. So now let me add on the other one of the guitars so you can see what it sounds like, in my headphones when I was recording the second guitar when I doubled the guitars and already had one in the mix. So I had the levels up way too high, it looks like, on the when I was recording, and that's, an engineering error on my part because I'm trying to do too many things at once and making the video while I'm doing it. But I've got to go back probably and re-record the guitars, which is annoying. But I don't know that they could be salvaged because there's a lot of compression going on, as you can hear, when the guitar volume exceeded the capabilities of either the mixer or the workstation. So I'm not sure which, but I've got to mess with that and probably fix the guitars. So now, but anyway, I'm going to show you how I scrub the tracks, and we're going to pretend they sound a little better than they do, and I'll show you what the process looks like. Okay, so I've turned down the volume a little bit on them, but I still think it's going to sound pretty clipped. The most important part of like scrubbing and mixing, I guess, is technically part of the mix, even though I don't do it with the main mixing part. I'm not going to add effects now or anything like that, or equalization, and get it to sit in the mix or anything like that. But scrubbing the tracks, the main thing is just listening to them. So first, let's just see what they sound like together again. I've gone in and labeled some of them. So you can see I gave some of the 2-bar sections names like OK, verse, riff, and E. And I'm pretending it's OK, but there's some clipping going on there too, just not as bad. OK, riff, verse, riff, and E. And then I put like clipped, verse, riff, and A. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to look later in the song to see if I can find another verse, riff, and A that's not clipped, or the best one, and stick it in. If I can, I'm just going to have to re-record the session again, but that's okay. I learned the parts now anyway. I hadn't played this song in quite a while. So for example, what I do now is I listen to this track in soloed, and just maybe 2 bars at a time. So there's nothing wrong with that really. I mean, other than the compression clipping issue, which we're ignoring now for purposes of this video. So I'm going to rename the clip, and notice I split it before I rename it, otherwise it'll give the next clip the same name. So we're changing this one to OK, verse, riff, and E. And see, this one here didn't change because I split it. Otherwise, if I split it second, they're both going to have the new name, and that's annoying. I find that annoying. So I'm just going to go through each section just like that. And I may not need to label every single one as long as I label one of each type in each section because it's kind of repetitive, but I will label the bad ones. And you'll notice there's a couple things in here that are kind of funny actually. Oh, there we go. What happened there? That was a major mistake when I was playing. I just kind of made a mistake and stopped and kept going. And where was that? Isn't it now? But the song is repetitive, and most songs are, so I can fill that gap with something I found somewhere else. But this is an example of something I would mark as bad. So I'm going to go 127. I'm going to cut it here, split. And same thing here. I'm going to split it. And this is so bad that I just know I can't use it. So there's not really any point of labeling it bad. I'm just going to kill it. Delete. And I'm actually going to do the same thing for this next one because you see it has a very similar problem. It looks like it started playing again at 131. Let's listen. So what happened was I probably forgot to change to the chorus when I was recording the guitar. I played the wrong part of the song. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, since that's first 8 bars of chorus 3, let's find, let's go to our marker view. Let's go to chorus 2. Oops, cancel. We don't want to rename chorus 2. What we want to do is we want to split it here. And that is, well, first let's listen to it and let's see if this is okay. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that from a performance perspective anyway. I'm cool with it. So I'm going to split it. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick it in the hole here. And I'm going to label it so that I know that I did that. So let's, where's rename? Why do I not see rename? Rename clip, there we go. And let's call this chorus riff pasted from verse 2. Pasted from first 8 bars of chorus 2. And now let's see what happens like when it's all together. So you wouldn't really know. Let's go to the console though. I think the guitars are a little low, not necessarily for the mix, but just because I'm having a hard time hearing them with the other instruments so much louder. I should probably address something important about what I just did, though, by the way. When I pasted, I always paste from the same channel. Even though the settings were exactly the same when I recorded track 9 and track 10, the only difference is they're panned in the mix here, in the console here, but the contents of these tracks are the exact same settings. I never want to be in a situation where I'm playing the exact same clip on both the left and the right speaker, because then something happens there, and they sort of add together as opposed to complement each other if they're exactly the same. So I can completely avoid that happening by never sort of crossing the streams. And if I do have to cross the streams, I make sure it's not in the same section. But it's better just to avoid that completely unless you're in a dire emergency. So that's something important. So let's see, any big gaps like that in the song? So let's see what this is. It looks like maybe going into a different part of the song. Let's listen to this track. All right, so there's nothing good after that. So let's go up here. Oh, I'm stuck at the whole note snap to. Let's unsnap it for now. So about here, and we'll split it. Now I could have just, all right. And I'm going to put in, to get rid of any noise as the sound is dying out, a volume filter. So. And that's a lot cleaner. And I could also have changed the shape of the volume filter, and I'll show you what that does in a second. Let's listen to the other one, and maybe we'll try a different shape filter. So that's got a lot of junk, and I don't want that in my song. So I could have, see, remember, I could also do this now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it at the same spot, or approximately the same spot. And then I'm going to apply another volume filter so it fades the same way the other one does. But how about, since this one's going to fade faster than this one, because this one was already full volume the whole way and I chopped it. So let's speed up the fading in this one by picking a different shape. So here's how you do that. Right click, and let's do a fast curve. Now it looks more like this one, and it sounds better together with them. So let's try it. Let's go back a little further so we could hear the transition. Now verse 3 is acoustic, so we have nothing there. Let's go into verse 4. I already did some of the filtering. Now I've got something to say about that too, because notice here's where verse 4 starts. And I allowed it to start before, but I used the volume filter at the beginning to make it sound a little more natural. And I may want to mess with these a little bit. You can see the shapes of these are quite different, and I may want to apply different types of filters. Like in this one, I may want to change the shape to the fast curve. That way, I think it'll sound slightly better with it. We'll see. But as far as listening to the tracks, doing it like this is not enough. When you're scrubbing the tracks, you got to have it soloed. And even though it's not as pleasurable to listen to, you're looking for every performance error. And we're going to snap again here. So what's over here? So like that bang at the end of that one, that's probably a mistake that I'm going to want to fix, or replace it with a different, replace it from something 4 or 8 bars before, or whatever, the other half of that part that was played correctly. And sometimes you could spot things too. Like if I came in early or late, I'm trying to look for an example of it, but I think I would have done that in the choruses actually early on here. How about where is that? Okay. So those were actually in sync pretty good. But sometimes what I'll have a tendency to do is if it's do 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 do, so it doesn't act, it comes in before the measure or after the measure. And here it's coming in, I think, before by 1/8 note. So sometimes I'll forget what I do on the next section of 4 bars, and it may be different. So if, for example, because it may be different because I was coming out of a different part of the song, but yet when I do the repeat the second time, it may not be an exact repeat of the first. And I want to be careful of that, and I also want to be careful I didn't screw that up when I was performing on the instrument itself. And if I did, I want to replace it. But that doesn't look bad there. I thought I had done it when I was tracking it once or twice, but it may have been in takes that I undid. Ooh, we got to fix that, huh? Trying to find an example for you, though, because I know it happens. What's this? 51. See, this and this are misaligned. So what I'm going to probably do is, I'm going to fix whichever one of those I don't like. It's usually about 8 bars in. So that starts at 37, so let's look at 43. Start at 42. No, that's not where it is at all. There we go. Okay, so let's see if that's the same. So do. So it came in right on the 41 on the downstroke, on the whatever you call it. Now, did I do that correctly in the other guitar? I did, but I don't always. All right, well, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. So that's enough for this episode. I'm not going to mix the whole track or scrub the whole track for you because this takes hours. And I'm not even sure that I want to scrub these entire tracks because I may need to do a re-record if the compression clipping issue is that bad. I'm going to play a little with maybe some EQ and see if and some compressing on my own and see if I could fix it. But if not, I'm going to have to re-record it. But anyway, the next time we're going to do acoustic guitar because we haven't done that acoustic verse yet. And then if my guitar piece comes in for the USA guitar to do the guitar solos, we'll do that. Otherwise, I still have to write lyrics and I still have to perform the vocals, and we'll get into that. And then probably do the solo after that. And then the mix and the master, and that'll be the end of this series. So, see you soon.